They say privacy is a thing of the past, and in some Airbnbs, that might be more literal than you think. Tonight, I've got 5 true horror stories from people who discovered hidden cameras in their rental, and not all of them made it out unscathed. Let's get into it. One, the smoke detector that blinked. Last summer, Mike and his girlfriend booked a small cabin in Vermont. Totally off-grid, no cell service, just trees and silence. It was perfect. Until they were lying in bed that first night and Mike noticed the smoke detector blinking, but it wasn't the usual red. It was blue. He climbed up on a chair to take a closer look, and that's when he saw it. A tiny lens inside the casing. They panicked. Mike unscrewed the detector and took it apart. Yep, there was a micro SD card and a tiny camera wired into the unit. They called the host. No answer. They called B&B. No signal. That night, they slept in the car with a hatchet by the dashboard. When they drove into town the next morning and called the police, the cops said the owner was already under investigation. The couple never got access to the footage, but they couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been watching them for days, maybe weeks. 2. Welcome to my home. Jasmine was in LA for a film internship and found a cute guest house in Silver Lake. Stylish, affordable, and walking distance to her studio. The host had glowing reviews. Her first night was uneventful, but on the second night, she got out of the shower and noticed something odd. The digital clock on the nightstand had moved slightly. It faced the bed. She thought she was being paranoid until she Googled the model number. It was a spy cam. Jasmine tore it open and found a live streaming module inside. She packed her bags and left immediately, then left a neutral review so she wouldn't get flagged. A week later, she got a message through Airbnb. You looked beautiful in that white towel. Welcome to my home. The host profile was deleted 24 hours later. Airbnb never explained how long he'd been filming guests. 3. The mirror in Unit 9. B. Jordan, a college student from Oregon, booked a studio apartment in Chicago while visiting his brother. The listing was cheap but clean, and it had a massive full-length mirror across from the bed. After a few nights, Jordan started to feel watched. At first, he thought he was just paranoid. But on the 4th night, he dropped his phone and it slid under the bed. While reaching for it, he noticed something. A glint of metal inside the mirror. A hole. He knocked on the mirror. It sounded hollow. Turns out, it wasn't a mirror. It was a 2-way window. Behind it, an empty, unlisted room with a chair and wires and wrappers from fast food that wasn't his. He called the cops. They found a motion-activated camera hooked up to a hard drive. The Airbnb host never found. The unit was shut down. But Jordan swears he still dreams of someone breathing just inches away from the other side of that glass. 4. Cabin in the Redwoods. Samantha and 3 friends booked a modern cabin in Northern California for a digital detox weekend. No phones, just hiking and good vibes. On their second day, they found a closet that wouldn't open, a sliding barn door, locked from the inside. The host claimed it was just storage. But that night, they heard noises, faint clicking, like a camera shutter. They looked around but found nothing. until one of them noticed a ceiling vent that didn't match the others. They unscrewed it and found a small camera tucked inside. Terrified, they busted the lock on the closet. Inside were multiple monitors, live feeds of every room, and one active screen showing the four of them huddled by the door. They ran. No cell service. They had to drive 30 minutes to make a call. The listing vanished within hours. But the story got local press coverage. No one knows who owned the cabin. Airbnb denied responsibility. 5. The Crawl Space Anthony. A freelance photographer rented a retro A-frame cabin in Colorado for a creative getaway. The listing said it was recently renovated. And sure, some parts looked new, but others felt off. There was a strange smell coming from the vents, and sometimes he heard things, like footsteps inside the walls. One night, while editing photos, his laptop webcam light turned on by itself. He didn't think much of it, until it happened again. He opened up the camera app. What he saw froze him. It wasn't showing him. It was a different room. A view from inside a crawl space, peering outward. He grabbed a flashlight and searched the house. Eventually, he found a false panel in the back of the closet. Behind it, a hidden crawl space with wires, a tripod, and a dusty mattress. Someone had been living there, watching him, filming him. The police said the wiring connected to a wireless signal, one they couldn't trace. Anthony moved out of state. He never stayed in another Airbnb again. Hidden cameras, false mirrors, live streams. These aren't just horror movie plots. They're happening in real life. And while most Airbnb stays are safe, sometimes the scariest part of your vacation is knowing you're not alone. If you like these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And drop a comment if you've ever had a creepy rental experience. Until next time, sleep with one eye open.